Hello, this is Eddie Mendoza and welcome to Pathways of Hope. During these past few months, my family and I have lost precious loved ones. First, there was my first cousin who died less than 6 months after her own husband died. Then about a month ago, the wife of my own sister's son died at a very young age, just like that. Before that, a close friend of mine lost his wife and he suffered agony for many months after that. Then, my most beloved boss, the chairman of the FINMA group, who gave me the big breaks in my career, died just last October. But most painful of all was when my beloved mother passed away last September. It is very painful to see someone else lose their loved ones, but it's the worst when it is your own loss. Sorry about this. Today's gospel, though, gives us a glimpse of how Jesus himself experienced personal grief. In fact, there are several occasions in the gospel where Jesus displayed genuine sadness. Imagine this powerful man who would calm the storms and walk on water, and whose mission was to bring good news of joy to everyone. He himself felt and experienced the pain of loss, of disappointment, of sadness and grief. He himself. It's such a consolation knowing that Jesus felt the exact same extreme pains we all feel from time to time and on a day-to-day basis. In John 11:13, when Jesus stood at the tomb of Lazarus, his friend, he shed tears and cried. Jesus wept, remember? No. But I think he grieved not so much because of the death of Lazarus, because after all, he knew he was going to raise him from the dead. No. But he was grieved. I think Jesus was grieved most especially, and he cried because of how he saw from Martha and Mary how painful the loss of Lazarus was to them. Just like when you and I feel sad when we see our friends cry and mourn their dead loved ones, we ourselves are moved because we feel their pain and we move to tears ourselves. Now, you and I, my friend, can be sure that whenever we're grieving the loss of our loved ones, Jesus feels our pain and he cries with us. And then there was that moment that we read about in today's gospel from Luke chapter 19, verses 41 to 44, when Jesus looks over Jerusalem as they ascend to the mountain. He stops and then he looks at Jerusalem and he grieves, and he cries according to the Bible. Jesus knew that this would be his last journey to Jerusalem because he would soon be crucified, but his sorrow was not because of his pending crucifixion. He was saddened not because his mission failed, but because of the hardness of heart and tigas ng ulo of the people there in Jerusalem. They thought that they were in good standing with Yahweh, and they refused his own teachings and his offer because they were waiting for a political Messiah. And so they were doomed. And Jesus grieved this. This reminds me of the worsening situation here in the Philippines, when those in power do nothing about injustice, do nothing about the neglect of the poor, they do nothing about the degradation of the environment, and they do nothing about massive corruption. It's so bad that it seems to me that we are doomed to self-destruction. But wait, I find consolation in this passage knowing that Jesus himself knows the grief that we concerned Filipino citizens are feeling. He knows it. And then the images of the Good Shepherd or the Good Samaritan and the Yahweh of the Exodus, they come to my mind right now because I know that we have a compassionate and powerful protector who feels the pain that we all feel. And he himself is saddened, and he promises victory to the righteous and the faithful. And then there's Gethsemane, the agony in the garden. Remember that dark night when Jesus fell to the ground and said, "Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me." He cried because of what he would happily lose in obedience to his Father. He cried because of what he would lose happily in obedience to the Father. Now, question, how often do you and I feel pain when we deny ourselves something that we desire or deserve, but we sacrifice it for the good of another and for the honor of God? Maybe it's a dream that we have to give up, a plan, a comfortable life, an opinion that we hold dearly. Jesus understands the tears that accompany our sacrifices. He knows what it means, and he knows what it's like to obey God through tears. Maybe, my friend, today you're grieving for the loss of a loved one, maybe, for a loss of something else, something in your life that hasn't turned out the way you hoped, or that you have to give up for the good of others. Here's my advice. Do not rush to hide or to wipe away your tears. Let the tears flow. Let your tears become your prayer. In that sense, it is good to grieve. Let Jesus dry your eyes and remind you that he gets where you're coming from. He gets it, and he feels your pain as if it was his own pain. And I pray that this realization of the truth about the love of Jesus will redeem your pain and will turn your mourning into meaning. And someday, as the book of Revelations promises, God will wipe away every tear from your eyes. Until then, remember this, you and I can trust our sorrow to the one who knows what it means to cry. Again, this is Eddie Mendoza, and God bless us all.